All right, let's talk about Persuader, number 7 in the Jack Reacher series. So I finished this not too long ago, and I'm going to tell you in this video what I like about it, what I don't like about it as much, and I'm going to rank a couple things. I'll rank the love interest in this book, and I'll also tell you where this book ranks overall in the first 10 or so Reacher books for me. So out of the first 10, where does this rank? What's better, what's worse, and so forth. Okay, so let's get into it. So first of all, what's good about this book? What's good about Persuader? Well, it has an interesting title. And so the title is more memorable than most of them because there's a bunch of really generic titles in the books in this series. Things like Die Trying and Without Fail and The Hard Way that mostly don't really tell you anything about the content of the book. They're just kind of a random title that's a random phrase that someone used in the book. This one actually means something. So that's different. This also has one of the most memorable villains, but he's not the main villain. He's like a mid-level villain. So his name is Paulie. So the encounter, by the way, this is basically spoiler-free, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens or anything, but there is a guy named Paulie who's who Reacher confronts this really big guy, and the build up to it, and then the ultimate confrontation with Paulie is a pretty cool part of this book. Although the author makes it very clear that luck is heavily involved in the way that ends up, so that kind of makes it a little like, okay. But overall, he's one of the cooler henchmen, if you will. In any of the Reacher books, and one of the most memorable things in this book is the confrontation with Paulie. And so, speaking of which, this book has a few good action scenes, not just one, but at least a handful, and starts off with some kind of intriguing action as well early in the book. What do I not like about this book as much? Well, there's a lot of backstory. There's kind of like multiple backstories that are kind of giving you enough information to understand Reacher's motivations and so forth. One main backstory, but some other ones kind of as well. And they spend a fair amount of time on that, maybe a little more than the average Reacher book, and it's a little tedious, you could argue. All right, so what about the love interest in this book? Just about every Reacher book, he has some sort of love interest, some sort of tryst or something going on, right? Where does this one rank? Well, it's brief. It's pretty, salacious, seductive, hot, or whatever. It's in the flow of events, but it's very transient. So that's kind of good and bad, right? It's kind of very much in the flow, kind of very much fits without having to go out of your way. But it's not like someone he has any long-term connection with. Like sometimes it is, somebody that he has a long-term connection with. So that's a little bit different. All right. So Persuader. So where does this rank in the first 10 Reacher books? There's a lot of Reacher books, but I've read about the first 10. So I'll rank this within about the first 10. I've read those 10, give or take like one. But I would say it ranks right in the middle, except that there is no middle in the number 10. So we'll rank it number 5 or maybe number 6. And which ones are better than this? Well, One Shot, The Killing Floor, Tripwire. I'd say all those are better than this. Which ones are not as good as this one? I would say The Hard Way. I would say The Enemy, and probably a few others. At least one or two others. But those ones for sure, in my opinion. So it's kind of in the middle, maybe about number 5 out of the first 10 in terms of where this ranks, where it stacks up. So worth checking out if you like these kind of books. If you've read some of the other ones, I'd say it's worth checking out. But it wouldn't be like the very, very, very top of the list, but Paulie. Yeah, Paulie. All right. So we'll talk to you next time. Check out some of my other book reviews about the Reacher novels or other books on this channel.